Vietnam's economy is suffering. Compared to neighboring countries, Vietnam is absolutely lagging behind. Going through Vietnam's visa process is like a bureaucratic minefield. Bad marketing, the lack of activities, putting Vietnam's economic growth at risk. The lack of international tourists shows that there's a clear sign that something is broken. Tourists are constantly getting scammed. Vietnam is losing out on a lot of high-spending travelers who want to stay longer. This is a spoiler alert. Vietnam has a lot more to offer, but the government is not talking about it. Vietnam has not capitalized on this trend. Empty hotels, empty restaurants, and frustrated local businesses. So imagine this, you're walking through the bustling streets of Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi, where there once were local cafes and shops that were bustling with international tourists from all over the world. But now the streets are quieter, the shops have more empty tables, and the souvenir shops are packed with stuff that no one wants to buy. Welcome to Vietnam's tourism crisis, where the absence of international travelers is dealing a massive blow to the Vietnamese economy. The numbers do not lie. The Vietnam tourism numbers are in free fall, and is causing consequences that are very severe. So how did we get here? Why are tourists flocking away from Vietnam and going to Thailand, Malaysia, or Bali? Today, we're gonna break down the reasons why tourists are not coming into Vietnam and to see if we can turn the tide in order to avoid further damage. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. So let's get started. So after 10 years of making videos, just in case you're new to our videos, my name is Ken Duong, international business immigration attorney with over 15 years of experience helping individuals, companies, and especially Vietnamese overseas all over the world to come live, work, invest, and enjoy the beautiful Vietnam. And today we're gonna talk about what's happening with the tourism industry in Vietnam. Just a few years ago, Vietnam was the hottest destination in Southeast Asia, welcoming millions of eager tourists to explore Vietnam's beautiful landscapes, rich history, and unique culture. In 2019, Vietnam welcomed over 18 million visitors, but that number has dropped dramatically as of today. In the first 9 months of 2024, Vietnam welcomed 12.7 million visitors. This number may sound staggering, but compared to the neighboring countries, Vietnam is absolutely lagging behind. For example, Thailand welcomed 27 million visitors, Malaysia welcomed 28 million visitors. But remember, Vietnam has 100 million people, but it can't attract more than half of the visitors of Malaysia when it's 3 times the size. So what is the issue? And why is Vietnam's tourism lagging behind? So first, let's talk about the visa policies. And this one's a doozy. It appears that Vietnam is trying to keep people out rather than bring them in. The current tourist visa only allows for 30 days in Vietnam on a short-term stay, compared to its neighbors like Thailand, who's offering 60 days and a great system for visa on arrival. And Malaysia is also doing a 5-year for digital nomads, while Vietnam's longest stay is a 90-day multiple entry visa. Moreover, that 90-day visa means that you can renew, but you cannot extend, which means you have to leave the country and then come back. It would appear that Vietnam's putting up a sign, come here for a very short-term stay, but definitely don't stay too long. And it's not just about the length of stay. Many tourists are complaining about the complicated visa process. Unlike neighboring countries that have a streamlined visa on arrival process, going through Vietnam's visa process is like a bureaucratic minefield. Tourists are getting stuck dealing with slow approvals, inconsistent visa rules, and hidden fees that are making planning extremely frustrating for many tourists. As a result, Vietnam is losing out on a lot of high-spending travelers who want to stay longer. Digital nomads? Forget it. They are opting to go to countries like Thailand or to Bali, where they are welcomed with open arms and have hassle-free visa options. So let's move on to the bad marketing. This is the Achilles heel of Vietnam's marketing strategy. The country has so much to offer: historical sites, stunning beaches, and vibrant cities. But you wouldn't know this from the international campaigns. Instead of showing off the variety and richness of the experiences, Vietnam is focused on winning travel awards instead of promoting these unique experiences. Seriously, Vietnam's tourism strategy is more focused on winning awards at travel expos than promoting the uniqueness and variety of the experiences to foreign travelers. Look at Thailand's marketing for comparison. Thailand brands itself as the land of smiles, welcoming all travelers with open arms. Bali, on the other hand, brands itself as a tropical paradise, welcoming surfers, digital nomads, and honeymooners. While Vietnam doesn't have a cohesive and compelling identity. Yes, Vietnam has its beauty, history, and culture rivaling its neighbors, but it's not being communicated effectively to the world. Instead, tourists are wondering, aside from the beautiful Ha Long Bay and Hanoi, what else does Vietnam have to offer? This is a spoiler alert. Vietnam has a lot more to offer, but the government is not talking about it. So let's talk about the lack of activities. While Vietnam has some iconic experiences, such as cruising Ha Long Bay, diving into the Cu Chi tunnels, or walking the ancient towns of Hoi An, there's a shortage of well-developed activities and experiences catered to the diverse tourist interests. Adventure tourism is booming globally, but Vietnam has not capitalized on this trend. Thailand is offering scuba diving, zip lining, trekking through the jungles, and many other activities as well. Even though Vietnam has beautiful landscapes, they are not offering these activities nor in the safest environment for people to enjoy. Moreover, cultural experiences that will allow foreigners to truly connect to Vietnam's rich culture and people are underdeveloped. Activities such as traditional cooking, participating in trips through the village, and participating in cultural festivals. These current activities that exist feels like they're rushed or too commercialized. If tourists are going to spend time and money in Vietnam, they want to be able to stay longer, spend more, and immerse themselves in activities that are more than just ticking off to UNESCO heritage sites. So now let's talk about the visa reforms. One of the things that are keeping tourists from staying longer in Vietnam and moving to other neighboring countries, it's definitely the visa restrictions. We already talked about the 30 and the 90-day visa being way too short. One simple solution, longer stays and flexibility. Imagine if Vietnam introduced a 6-month tourist visa. Suddenly, you're not just attracting backpackers and short-term vacationers. You're attracting digital nomads, retirees, and families looking to have extended stays. These tourists are not just blowing through cities in a few days. They are renting apartments, spending money on food and entertainment, and they immerse themselves in depth into the culture and supporting the local economy with every step. Thailand offers a great retirement visa. Thousands of retirees from North America, Australia, and Europe and spend their golden years in Thailand because they make it easy. These retirees are not just living there. They are renting apartments, hiring locals, and spending money daily for their living and also for their healthcare needs. Vietnam, with its low cost of living and beautiful landscapes and people, can do the same thing if only they were to offer this retirement visa. Retirees are not a strain on the local job market or the local resources. Retirees are a great win for the Vietnamese economy without all the downsides. Then there's the idea of the work holiday visa. This would attract young travelers from Western countries to spend a year-long working in Vietnam, but also experiencing the culture. Japan has done this visa very well, and Vietnam, with its boosting economy, desire for English teachers, would really benefit from having this particular visa. This visa would not only attract young travelers, but also skilled workers who want to live and experience Vietnam. They don't only stay for a week or a short period. They stay long-term, they spend money, thus boosting the economy. Visa exemptions could also be expanded. Currently, Vietnam offers visa-free for mostly Asian countries and some European countries. Vietnam is really leaving money on the table by not making these visa exemptions more available to these high-spending Europeans and North Americans. All right. Before we continue of why Vietnam tourism is declining, I just want to give you a quick call to action. 80% of you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel. but I know and I believe you like our content. So come into the 20%, boost the tourism of Vietnam, help DG get to 100,000 subscribers by Tết next year. Click on the subscribe button and we look forward to giving you more information. So now let's get back to the topic. So now let's get to the grim reality. Vietnam's economy is suffering because of tourism decline. And it's not just the tourism sector feeling the pinch. Vietnam's tourism industry accounts for 10 to 12% of Vietnam's GDP, employing millions of people working in hotels, restaurants, street vendors, tour guides, and also other hospitality owners. When tourists don't show up, businesses close and jobs vanish. Look at places like Phu Quoc, once touted as the answer to Bali. It was supposed to be a haven for luxury resorts and a hotbed for international tourism. Now, walking around Phu Quoc, you see a lot of empty hotels, empty restaurants, and frustrated local businesses. The island is struggling because the tourists are not coming and they're not staying very long to make an impact. This ripple effect is going beyond Phu Quoc. It's impacting the beautiful beaches of Da Nang and also the mountains of Sapa. When tourists stop coming, the impact is hard and fast. Hotels that were fully booked before are now offering steep discounts just to attract people. Restaurants are closing, employees are forced to be laid off. This has a domino effect. If the tourists stop coming, the restaurants will stop serving and they'll close, which means the farmers that supply to these restaurants will also have less business. Moreover, the artisan handicrafts that supply to the souvenir stores will not have anyone to sell to, and thus they will close as well. Moreover, taxi drivers have no one to drive, tour guides have no one to guide, and thus the entire tourism ecosystem begins to collapse. And let's look at the big macroeconomic numbers. With less tourists coming in, that's less flow of foreign currency into Vietnam. Tourism being a major source of foreign exchange. And with those numbers dropping, that has an impact on Vietnam's economic health. Although Vietnam's economy is growing rapidly, due to the lack or weakness of tourism, it could slow down significantly the economic growth. We have to also look at the foreign direct investment. Investors also look at the growth trajectory of the tourism industry for the investments into hospitality, real estate, or other tourism-related industries. With the tourism numbers declining, Vietnam's not just losing visitors, but the interest of international investors putting Vietnam's economic growth at risk. This is not just about saving Vietnam's tourism industry. It's about preserving the millions of jobs and the long-term stability of its economy. Vietnam needs to recognize that this is not just a minor setback, but it could be a long-term threat to Vietnam's economic growth. The time to act is now. And it's not all doom and gloom. At our law firm, we help make Vietnam accessible to everybody. If you're just looking for a tourist visa, marriage visa, work visa, or an investor visa, we've got you covered. Do you want to stay longer in Vietnam? We can get you an investor visa. Or if you are married to a Vietnamese citizen or have Vietnamese children, then you can get a family visa that will allow you a longer stay and also a temporary residence card as well, so that you can enjoy everything about Vietnam, its culture, and its people without constant renewals. So where does Vietnam go from here? The lack of international tourists shows that there's a clear sign that something is broken. But the solution is not really big. If the government, local businesses, and the tourism industry work together, they can find great solutions. Vietnam needs to focus on better marketing, emphasizing its world-class cuisine and beautiful landscapes. Visa policies and restrictions need to allow for longer-term stays and easier processing. And of course, the scams, they have to stop immediately because the tourism industry cannot thrive if tourists are constantly getting scammed. Tourism is a critical part of Vietnam's economy, and without international visitors, Vietnam will fall behind its neighbors. But with the right reforms, Vietnam can be the top destination once again. So what do you think about this tourism video? But as always, I want to say thank you for watching this video, but make sure you like our Facebook page and all our social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, comment below about your experience with tourism, and of course, click on the bell for notifications. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.